Picture this. You are finally breaking ground on that absolute dream project.
Oh yeah, the one you've been planning for years.
Right. Maybe it's a massive new workshop for all your gear, or a beautiful carriage house for guests out in the Okanagan.
Or that spectacular backyard pool.
Exactly. You have the vision, the surveyors are out on your property, the plans are perfectly drawn, the budget is locked in,
Everything is ready to go.
everything. But then, right as the literal groundwork is about to begin, you hit a roadblock.
A very literal one.
Yeah, a buried in the dirt roadblock. The industry calls it the underground surprise.
It's the moment every homeowner dreads because it just brings a highly coordinated, really expensive construction schedule to a grinding halt.
Total standstill. And that is exactly what we're getting into today. Welcome to our deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Today, we're exploring that friction point where modern construction ambitions clash with legacy infrastructure.
Which happens a lot more than you'd think.
Right. And acting as your knowledgeable guides today and representing the specialized expertise of Affordable Septic, we're going to completely demystify the panic of finding an existing septic system right underneath your planned footprint.
Because when you hit that underground surprise, I mean, the clock is ticking. You've got contractors on standby.
Holding costs.
Holding costs are accumulating, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the potential expenses just seem terrifying in that moment.
So we're going to explain exactly how you can navigate this specific scenario without completely derailing your timeline or destroying your budget. And you don't even need to be a contractor to understand this. You just need to know what to expect.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is the underground surprise?
Wow.
Essentially, it's that exact moment when your new building footprint perfectly overlaps with a hidden septic tank or its dispersal field.
Right. Like, say, the precise rectangle where your new pool foundation is supposed to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And to understand why this happens so frequently, we really have to look at historical construction practices, especially in the BC interior.
How so?
Well, decades ago, when homes were first built in these regions, the septic dispersal field was naturally placed in the largest, most open area of the property.
Which makes sense.
It just made logistical sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But fast forward 30 or 40 years, you buy the property, you want to build a pool or a shop. Where is the most logical, flat, open place to put it?
That exact same area.
That exact same area. So this architectural conflict is incredibly common across the Okanagan.
And I bet the immediate reaction from most homeowners when the surveyor flags this is a mix of denial and bargaining.
Oh, 100%.
The instinct is to just say, well, no problem. Can't we just hire an excavator, dig up the tank and the pipes and just scoot everything over a few feet to the left?
Just slide it out of the way.
Right, like rearranging living room furniture. You just slide a couch over to make room for a coffee table.
But you absolutely cannot do that with a septic system.
Not at all.
It's a very dangerous misconception. You physically and legally cannot just move an old system.
Because of how it actually works underground.
Right. If we look at the fundamental physics of wastewater management, a dispersal field isn't just a pipe in the dirt. It's a precisely engineered area of saturated soil.
Acting as a biological filter.
Exactly. It treats the effluent, which is the clarified liquid waste exiting your tank, before it reaches the groundwater. So over time, that soil develops a living, organically active biomat.
A biomat.
Yeah, and you cannot simply scoop up highly saturated, biologically active dirt with a backhoe and drop it somewhere else, expecting it to function.
It's basically an ecosystem you'd be destroying. And that's just the field. Trying to move the actual tank sounds like a structural nightmare.
Oh, it is. You're dealing with aging, contaminated infrastructure. If you try to excavate and hoist a massive, heavy concrete or plastic tank that's been subjected to soil pressure for decades,
Just gotta brave.
it almost always compromises the structural integrity. The concrete will crumble or the brittle fiberglass will just shatter.
Not to mention, moving hazardous waste infrastructure isn't exactly something local governments take lightly.
Precisely. This isn't just a matter of physics and brittle concrete. It's a matter of strict health and safety regulations enforced by the Interior Health Authority in British Columbia.
They don't mess around with that.
No, they don't. You cannot casually relocate a system that processes human waste. The whole engineering framework is strictly regulated to protect local groundwater, nearby wells, public health.
So it's pretty easy to see why homeowners immediately think their budget is destroyed. You're standing there looking at the surveyor stakes in your yard, realizing you can't just nudge the tank out of the way.
It's a sinking feeling.
Right. The immediate assumption is that the dream project is ruined, or worse, that the only protocol here is a mandatory full system tear out,
Right, starting from scratch.
forcing you to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a brand new septic system before you can even pour the foundation for your shop.
And that is the exact moment the financial panic sets in. Homeowners start doing the mental math.
Adding a massive $30,000 utility project on top of the pool budget. Oh, wait, let me play devil's advocate here for a second. If the heavy machinery is literally already idling in your yard and you have an excavation crew on site,
Yeah.
isn't it just better to bite the bullet? Like, if you're dealing with a 30-year-old tank anyway, why not just rip the whole thing out and start fresh so you never have to worry about it again?
It's a logical question, sure, but strategically, it is often a massive waste of capital.
Hmm.
What's fascinating here is that a full system tear-out is rarely the default protocol.
Really?
Really. Unless you're dealing with an incredibly old system that is actively failing and, pooling in your yard, a comprehensive replacement is almost never necessary just because of the new construction conflict.
That is huge for the budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why destroy a perfectly healthy dispersal field on the east side of your property just because the tank on the west side is in the way of your new pool?
That makes a lot of sense. And it introduces a much more surgical approach that the industry calls system alterations.
System alterations. Correct.
So if your system is generally in good working order, but just happens to be in the wrong physical spot for your new architectural plans, you keep the existing healthy components.
With smart, targeted modifications.
Right. That is the absolute key to saving your budget. You aren't buying a whole new car, you're just moving the steering wheel, so to speak.
That's a great way to put it. It is surgical modification rather than total amputation.
Nice.
And to execute this properly, the experts at Affordable Septic utilize a highly specific, legally compliant four-step process.
To keep things moving without running afoul of environmental regulations.
Right.
So to actually fix this, the very first step is proper decommissioning, neutralizing that conflict zone.
Because you can't just leave a hollow tank in the ground and pour a foundation over it.
Right. If you have an old tank sitting right where the deep end of your new pool needs to be, or right under a heavy concrete slab, you have to safely and legally decommission those specific components.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, decommissioning is a critical structural requirement.
How so?
Imagine pouring the heavy, load-bearing concrete foundation for a massive new workshop over an old, hollow, degrading septic tank.
Oh, wow.
Right. The weight and the settling over time will eventually cause that underground tank to cave in.
And when it caves, the earth shifts.
And your brand new building's foundation will crack, sink, or fail entirely.
Which would be a completely catastrophic loss on a new build.
Exactly. So for step one, the team has to safely pump out, crush, fill, or completely remove the old tanks and field lines in that specific footprint.
Following strict provincial guidelines.
To ensure the ground is chemically safe, compacted, and structurally stable enough to support your new plans.
Okay, so that's step one. But once you've crushed and filled that old tank, you're obviously missing a crucial piece of your home's daily infrastructure.
Right. You can't just flush the toilets into nowhere.
Exactly. So that's step two. New component installation. You need to find a new safe zone on your property to replace just those specific missing parts.
And this isn't guesswork. The Affordable Septic team conducts a rigorous site and soil evaluation to find that legally approved safe zone.
They literally bring in excavators to dig test pits, right?
They do.
What exactly are they looking for in a test pit? Just making sure there are no huge rocks.
Oh, it's much more scientific than that.
Yeah.
They are analyzing the distinct layers of the soil profile. They need to understand the composition. Is it sandy? Is it heavy clay? Is it loamy?
Okay.
And they test the percolation rate, which is how fast water absorbs into the earth. Based on that deep subterranean data, they engineer and install only the necessary replacement parts.
So if your soil is great, maybe it's just a conventional gravity system tank.
Exactly.
But what if the soil in the only available safe zone is terrible?
That is where advanced engineering comes in. If the terrain is difficult or the soil doesn't drain well, they might install what's known as a Type 2 treatment unit.
Let's define that quickly for anyone who isn't a wastewater engineer.
Sure. Essentially, a Type 2 treatment unit is like having a miniature, highly advanced wastewater treatment plant right in your yard.
Wow.
Yeah, it uses mechanical aeration and specialized bacteria to treat the effluent to a much higher, cleaner standard before it is ever released into the soil.
Oh, so because the water is cleaner, the dispersal field can be smaller.
Significantly smaller,
Yeah,
which is perfect when you're rapidly running out of yard space due to your new construction.
that's brilliant. But the key takeaway is that they're only installing what's required to replace the decommissioned parts, avoiding that total system overhaul.
Right.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Step 3, system alterations and tie-ins. Now you have the new parts in the ground in a safe zone, but you're also building something new. Let's say it's that carriage house.
And obviously you want a bathroom and a small kitchen in it for your guests.
Right. So this is where the engineering really gets put to the test. You have to integrate the old with the new.
This is the actual crux of the system alterations concept. The team expertly connects the new plumbing originating from your new structure directly into the healthy existing infrastructure that wasn't in the way.
Tying the replacement components and the new plumbing loads together.
Exactly. It requires precise flow calculations to ensure the old system won't be overwhelmed by the new water volume.
Yeah.
But it fundamentally prevents you from having to trench up your entire property.
Which brings us to step 4 and a completely different kind of roadblock.
The paperwork.
Yes, regulatory compliance. While all this physical dirt is being moved in the backyard, there is an entirely separate battle happening on paper.
Always is.
If you go to your local municipality or regional district and submit a building footprint that conflicts with a septic system they have on file, they will slam the brakes on your project with incredible bureaucratic inertia.
They'll block your building permit immediately.
Immediate.
And rightfully so, from a liability and public safety perspective. A building inspector cannot legally authorize construction over a hazardous waste site or an active utility conflict.
Right.
This is where having a specialized professional acting on your behalf is non-negotiable. The regional district will not just take your word for it that the tank was moved safely.
They need official stamped proof. They need someone to translate all that physical engineering work in the dirt into the specific bureaucratic language the local government requires.
Exactly. And Affordable Septic handles all those necessary filings. They manage the complex communication with the Interior Health Authority.
Taking that stress right off the homeowner.
Totally. They submit the official stamped documentation, proving the system was legally decommissioned in the footprint, mathematically verified for capacity, and legally altered elsewhere on the property.
They essentially provide the golden ticket that proves the site is safe. And that paperwork is what immediately unblocks the permits, so your framing crews and builders can actually get back to work. The holding costs stop accumulating. No more red tape.
It's a seamless, crucial transition from the physical excavation in the yard to the administrative approval in the office. Both are equally necessary to keep a build on track.
Absolutely. So what does this all mean for a homeowner who isn't doing any exterior construction at all?
Good question.
What if you're just adding a legal basement suite to your existing home layout? Or maybe you want to capitalize on tourism and turn your property into a short-term rental, like an Airbnb.
Right, where you aren't digging up the yard, but you are drastically changing how the house is utilized.
Exactly. Does the underground surprise still apply?
It absolutely does, but in a different way. This is a very important distinction in the regulatory landscape. For short-term rentals, STRs, and newly legalized secondary suites, local authorities still require an official septic capacity assessment. Even if you aren't changing the physical exterior footprint, you are fundamentally altering the daily flow of wastewater.
That makes total sense. You can't just suddenly have 8 weekend guests staying in a house that was originally engineered for a retired couple.
Right.
You can't expect the underground infrastructure to magically handle that shock loading. More people inherently means more consecutive showers, constant laundry cycles, higher flushing volumes.
Precisely. A system designed for a slow, steady flow of 300 gallons a day will fail rapidly if it's suddenly hit with 800 gallons a day from vacationers.
And the local authorities know this.
They do. Therefore, they need empirical proof that your wastewater system can safely handle that mathematically increased capacity before they'll issue you a business license for the STR or a building permit for the interior suite upgrade.
So how do you prove it to them?
Affordable Septic provides these official capacity assessments. And they don't just guess. They analyze your historical interior health records.
Real data.
Yes, they physically locate and verify your current system components in the ground, measure the exact volume of your tanks, and calculate your legal capacity to deliver the precise compliance reports the municipality is demanding.
It all comes back to strategic advising and having the right professional in your corner.
Always.
If you're dealing with the health authority and municipal building inspectors, you can't just hire a guy with a shovel and a pickup truck.
No, you really can't.
You need a company with a serious pedigree, and Affordable Septic really fits that profile. I mean, they serve a massive footprint in the region.
I do?
Kelowna, West Kelowna, Vernon, Lake Country, Salmon Arm, Peachland, Summerlin, Penticton, and all the way up West Side Road.
And beyond their geographic reach, their business model is particularly advantageous for homeowners dealing with unexpected costs.
How so?
They're a family-owned business with over 25 years of experience navigating the specific soil and regulatory challenges of the BC interior.
That's a lot of local knowledge.
Huge amount. And because they're independent,